People, Deluded, I'm back again. Good morning, I hope you're well and safe, whoever you are, wherever you are. Nothing much to speak about in relation to Arsenal really and truly, but I've got some couple things I've found on the internet. And like I said, if for nothing more, it's just conversation. The transfer rumours 9 times out of 10 are nonsense. I don't think I've got any transfer rumours actually copied and pasted onto the Google sheet, at least I don't remember any, so it's a bit of a different one, but let's crack on. Before I get on with that, obviously people, the 15th of June marks the closing for the voting of the Football Content Awards. If you have voted for me already, thank you very much. If you haven't voted for me, please check out the description. Please check out my comments for more information, in fact, links of how to do it. It will take you to the website. You can vote across all channels. You know, you can vote on the Twitter, on the... Pardon me, you can vote on the Twitter, you can vote on the Instagram, you can vote traditionally on their website, you can vote across all three. I said free across all of them. You can vote across your phone, your tablet, your laptop, your PlayStation, whatever can get onto the internet and get onto that website. It is what it is. I don't think I'll win, but I just want to see how far we can take it, man. And considering we've built a solid foundation with 20,000 odd subscribers and stuff in a couple of countries, to say the least, let's see how far we can go, and at the end we'll see how far we are away from other people, and obviously we, specifically I, can improve. But yeah, man, like I said, thank you very much for the support so far, and thank you very much if you voted, like I said. And if you're going to vote, thank you in advance. It takes 30 seconds of your time. I don't ask you guys for anything, so it'd be lovely if you do such. If not, fair enough, man, I respect that. But moving on, people, and cracking on with things. In fact, before I begin, at the corner of my eye I've got my laptop. That's another thing I want to speak about. You lot always get on to me, like, you lot, I don't want to come across as I'm trying to take money from people or scamming people, whatever, card. You know, I've had a role. I don't need, well, we all need money, we all welcome money, so I'm not going to say that. I'm definitely not rich, but I don't need to be doing them things. And the way I've grown up, you don't do things for money and things. But there's a lot of things you lot get onto me about, and I have my own opinion, but then I go and do it. There's been several different examples with my channel. The next one being clothing is soon going to land, people. Obviously with what's going on globally, manufacturers is throwing it out the window, but it's soon going to land. A lot of you get onto me about donation pages. They're like, where's the donation page, where's the donation page, where's the PayPal? It's finally there. Like I said, man, if you do want to donate and give the kid a couple of pounds to move forward with and try and advance my channel, then that's fair enough. I'm not begging you guys, I'm not forcing you guys, I'm not doing anything, but it's there now because a lot of you got onto me about it. So if you want to do that, again, links are in the description and the comments. And on that topic, I'd like to say a very big thank you to Lorna Mahmood. Sorry if you didn't want to disclose your name. I won't disclose the amount you've donated, but thank you very much for departing with your hard-earned cash. And I don't know your financial situation, I don't know your job security situation, I don't know your family situation. So to know you've departed with some sums and donated to this for other causes, it means a lot, people. And it doesn't matter if it's £1 or $1 million, you know, it means a lot. It doesn't matter. And if you're not in a position to do it, listen, I've been broke as well, so I know how it feels, people. I know exactly how it feels. I know how it feels to not be even if you listen, I've been in a situation you can't even buy a McDonald's meal. I couldn't even grab a 99p swell ice cream, so I know how it feels, people. But like I said, thank you for the voting, thank you for the donations and things like that. And you know, if that's what you want to go and do, I definitely want you to vote, so make sure you head over there. But if you want to do both, go ahead and do both. If you want to do either or, it's there. But let's crack on with the bulk of this video, people, what we're actually here for. First and foremost, people, I actually wanted to speak about I wanted to speak first and foremost about Arteta, really, and some comments I saw about Arteta. Admittedly, first come from David O'Leary, and then as I went on through the day today, I've seen it from Steve Round. So let's start with Steve Round, sorry, who's a coaching member of Arteta's side. He's previously been at Everton and Manchester United, I believe. And David O'Leary works in the back room at some level at Arsenal as well. David went on to say, former player as well, forgive me if I'm wrong, I think it's a bit before my time. I could be wrong on that a bit. It is before my time, but I guess I should do my history research. But in relation to Mr. O'Leary on Arteta, he said, I don't think he's put a foot wrong off the field. There are some things that he's done that nobody knows about. But what can you say? What he's come in behind the scenes and done has been absolutely fantastic. So yeah, obviously we're fans, you know, unless you know coaches that are there or players or anything like that, we'll never know what we can't be, what we're not told. So we're just relying on these sort of things to come out. But obviously, from what you see with Arteta, whether he's going to be a success or not, without talking about the tactics and stuff, there seems not an arrogance, but a confidence in that he knows what he wants to do. He knows the blueprint of his team. He knows his footballing principles. So it's not cockiness, but it's that silent sort of confidence in him. So he's got that, and me seeing that as a fan, and I'm seeing it reflected in what he's doing on the coaching field. You know, we're seeing transparency. What he's saying in the press conferences is translating to what he's doing on the field. Obviously, we're seeing building blocks into what he wants to do. We're not perfect, but you're seeing building blocks. You're seeing slight improvements defensively, style of play, you know, structure, and there's many more we can get on about that. So he's got that. Obviously, in terms of being charismatic, you can have as much charisma as you want if you're not able to convince people to buy into you. So that also helps having conviction in your ideas. People believe what you're saying, but you've also got to be able to develop a cult-like figure so that people can believe in you. All managers upon a time needed that. Pep Guardiola, Arsene Wenger, Sir Alex Ferguson, they've all had that. Even at times where it's not been going great. You look at Pep. He didn't start off too good for him at Barcelona. And who came into his office and said, yo, we believe in you? Iniesta. So listen, there's going to be tough times where Arteta might even think he's not the man to take us forward. And it's that sort of camaraderie he needs with his players. And he's been able to do that. We're seeing it from what we're hearing with, again, it's a bit of a techie one, but the whole convincing people to take wage budgets. From what I like to see, it doesn't matter if you're a young player, you know, a young promising player, a top player like Aubameyang and Lacazette and these things, or people that we thought weren't up to task, potentially like David Luiz and Mustafi. They've clearly been given confidence and their manager believes in them. Obviously, all these players should care about what the fans feel because they're the ones playing for us. But at the same time, the only opinion that matters is the manager. And even in Mustafi's case, that's what I like because, listen, it sounds stupid now, but I'm sure every fan would have said, listen, freeze him out, under 23s football, force him and his agent to get him moved on. But I also said a big part of Arteta is, and I'm very careful with this, he has to be able to coach players that we think are past it or not up to task, which you could say about Luiz and Mustafi. Now, of course, we know in a year from now, we don't know if they're going to be doing this. But what I like in Mustafi's case, he said to him, yo, listen, football's fickle. You play good, the fans get off your back like we're doing. Listen, I believe in you. Forget everybody else. I believe in you. Forget what the fans believe. I believe in you. And you can see it with him. When he makes it, with the thing about Mustafi, he's not terrible. And he hasn't been terrible. He's just one of them, man. He makes a mistake. He's not been terrible every game that he's ever played for Arsenal. He's actually had numerous good spells and good form. He's just one of them. When he messes up, it's highlighted. But one thing that has gone against Mustafi, he's a sort of man, he made one mistake and then you could see, you know, that's just a start. He's going to make more. Now, with Mustafi, the mistakes are still going to be there. You saw it against Liverpool in the Cup. You saw it against, was it Chelsea? I could be wrong. But he made mistakes in these games or whenever it was, and he reacted. It's like he forgave himself. He went to himself, you know what? Pardon my language, shit happens. Let's move on in it. I'm still going to have a good game. And that's what I want to see because mistakes are going to happen. Especially if we're playing out from the back, mistakes are going to happen. Mistakes are going to happen in life. And I always talk about competence and consistency because I need to see players able to do a role consistently in that. You need confidence. You need confidence to play for a top 6 team. You need confidence to try that difficult pass. To try that difficult pass again when it's not working and the fans are getting onto you. Obviously, you need to be sensible, but you need confidence. Because I've seen players like this team sadly hide at times, and we don't need any of that. So it's lovely to hear from that. We'll never be able to truly quantify what Arteta's doing behind the scenes, but you know, hopefully we'll find out. But from what I see as a fan, I'm really confident in Arteta. I'm not confident to say, you know what, Arsenal are going to turn around and we're going to do trebles, we're going to get back to, we're going to do Invincibles 2.0, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. But to be honest, a lot of it's out of Arteta's hands, in my opinion, in terms of recruitment, ingoings, outgoings, shutting up speculation about players. But just for me, having confidence in a manager that he's building towards something, just knowing that on a Saturday, Sunday, Wednesday, Thursday, whenever we're going to play people, that what he's saying in his press conferences, what he's been talking about for weeks, we're going to try and do that. And for me, what I like about him as well, for all the don't get me wrong, improving defensively is the first thing Arsenal need to do. But I saw too much of a defeative attitude by Emery, and the players were already like that because we've been an inferior team for a minute now. But it just seemed like we're just rolling up and being second best. Now it looks like, okay, cool, we think about the other team. Like if we're going to play Man City, they're clearly a better team than us. We clearly need to think about them. There's clearly certain things we can't do. But we're going to have a goal. We're not just going to sit back and wait for the inevitable because we can't do that. We can't do that. Secondly, you know, you can't do that in England. You need to have a try. Why do you think the beauty about the Premier League is that, you know, relegation teams could... Liverpool could be playing one of the relegation teams on the final weeks and lose. Do you get it? It's random. You don't know what's going to happen. And that's why. Because everybody's up for a fight in a positive way. Moving on from that, O'Leary went on to say, the way he's handled himself through the crisis, and the things he's done without seeking publicity, the things he's implemented structurally at the club, I don't think he's put a foot wrong. I think he has a hard task without a doubt. He's come in and taken a hard job on. He needs new players. The squad he has will make better. He will push them towards being a top 4 club. Oh, sorry, he said, will that push them towards being a top 4 club? Sorry, no, I don't see that, and I believe that as well. Like the thing, let's be honest. You know, when you look at our individuals or the players as individuals alone, they're not bad players. I'm not going to name them, but there's probably only about 3 people in that team that I think are terrible, like really terrible, and they're probably not the ones you think, but really terrible. But either way, they're not bad players, but it's just collectively, they're just way too average. And if you're going to be average, you need to be consistent, you need to be competent, you need to be able to kill teams, keep clean sheets and game manage. And we can't do none of this. And some of these players have been having their hands held by the club for years. So we do need recruitment. There's only so far Arteta can take these existing bunch of players. He does need recruitments. Obviously, we'd all love 50 plus on a centre half, 50 plus on a centre mid or 2, you know. Go out and deal with the Aubameyang thing. Aubameyang's not staying cool. Remove him or make a decision, but think about that replacement. We're not like that. So he's relying on scouts. He's relying on Raul Sanllehi and things like that, who's arguably, well, it is the more important job. He has to deal with everything. Raul Sanllehi and them man there overrule the board now. That was put in the Athletic, so it's not like the board are making decisions. It's all on Raul Sanllehi in terms of really who we're bringing. Obviously there's scouts and other things, but who we're bringing in, how contracts are being renewed, how, you know, how we're learning from hindsight, which I haven't seen yet, and how we're applying foresight, which remains to be seen. Because I look at Chelsea, I'm jealous, people. I'm quite jealous of them signing Ziyech and Werner and all these guys, but what I'm jealous of, you look at Reece James, Callum Hudson-Odoi, Adrian yesterday, Loftus-Cheek, couple other man. They're promising young players are contracted until the latest 2023-24. Obviously, there's some exceptions to the rules. Billy Gilmour also signed a deal as well not too long ago. They've got their players tied down. Now, I'm not saying we don't have that now. And Tammy will probably commit his deal. If not, you know, that's making 50 million on him. The club keeps going. I look at us. Eddie Nketiah's got a stronger stature in the squad than 12 months ago. Where's his new deal now? Again, I'm a fan. I can only comment on what I see. I don't know if the club are in talks or not in talks. But I see someone that's making advancements, someone that could potentially be a £40 million, £40 million player right now, contracted until 2022. Go and deal with that. Reece Nelson and Emil Smith-Rowe, their contracts will be up for debate very soon. Bukayo Saka, 2021, running a dangerous game. Aubameyang, dangerous game. And if we really scrutinise contracts, you know, you look at Lacazette, you look at Kolasinac, you look at Hector Bellerin, I'm sure they're all contracted until 2022. Bellerin might be wrong, but, you know, foresight. I need to see us renewing players because stability is a big part of the role. Look at Van Dijk, he's getting another deal by Liverpool, and I'm sure Liverpool have given deals to existing players. I think in football it's often forgotten the ability, how vital it is to keep players together, and I'd say separately coaching and improving players. I think the solution is always, people always scream, you need new, you need new, you need new. It's never about improving and keeping players together. And obviously giving out new contracts is more or less a losing business, because, you know, you're making more outgoings, I guess. But, you know, keeping Van Dijk happy, not saying that he's a money grab or anything, but what does keeping Van Dijk happy do for Liverpool? It gives out stability. It also potentially tells other people coming into the club, like, away from Liverpool winning the Champions League and soon to officially win the Prem, it's like, yo, they're winning stuff. You know, Klopp's committed his future. He's here for a significant period of time. You look at their key players are contracted for time. That screams stability. That shows me they're trying to have success for a while. You look at Arsenal, we're in a different sort of health as a club for obvious reasons. This is what we need to aspire to, naturally, people. But yeah, I don't think we can get top 4 without some proper help, in my opinion, really and truly. But Moving away from that, according to the Sport, and it's the same report over and over again, Marc Roca of Espanyol already has an offer from Arsenal for next season, and the two clubs are waiting to the end of the season to negotiate officially. He has a 40 million release clause. AC Milan are also very interested in him. Now, this is one that's 1 minute we want him, then it's his agents trying to do it, then it's a special request of Mikel Arteta, then it's, you don't know where these reports are going with. So this ain't the first time we've been linked. Obviously, centre mid is a region Arsenal need to improve in. Obviously, with Espanyol's form, he's going to be up for debate. Obviously, with Arteta being Spanish as well as Raul Sanllehi, we're going to get linked with a lot of players based in La Liga, as we did under Unai Emery. I can imagine they're watching La Liga. I think he's a decent player and he could add something to Arsenal, but I just think it's paper talk. If he signs, fair play, but really, are we going to activate his 40 million release clause and when we're trying to get Partey, allegedly? Because Partey could be waxed. We don't know if he's staying or going. Personally, I don't think we're signing Partey, but I didn't think we was going to sign Aubameyang, and we did it. So I'm preparing for the worst, hoping for the best. If you can hear it, people, apologies for the helicopter or plane, whatsoever going over my house at the moment. Just if that's taken away from the listening experience, I apologise. Another future who's up for debate, Mkhitaryan. He's not on ability, he shouldn't be one of the first names out, but in terms of, you know, when you're, no disrespect, you know, you're looking at players to depart the club, Mkhitaryan for wage purposes is one we need to get gone like yesterday. And his future's up for debate. 1 minute he's going to stay at Roma, then he's going to come back to Arsenal, then he's going to sign a new deal at Arsenal and go to Roma with an obligation to buy. We'll have to see what happens. What I don't want Arsenal to do is be in a position where he's running down his contract for that 2021, that year, because fair enough, if we don't sign a creative midfielder, I guess between him, Ozil, Joe Willock, potentially Emil, Arteta has options to assess for that role, but realistically we should move this guy on. Him himself has said, I like Rome as a city and Roma as a club. I wish I could stay here longer, but it's not up to me. It's up to Arsenal and Roma. If they agree the terms of the transfer, if not, I'm not going to stay at Roma and have to go back to Arsenal. I'm not complaining. And to be fair, he's probably calm at Arsenal. You know, he's on a big deal. You know, you hear from people around the club. He was a very loved member of the squad on and off the field. He was one of them that, you know, would buy little Christmas presents and stuff for all the staff. Obviously, he's got, on paper, Socrates and Aubameyang, who could also leave, former teammates, and just other people he's made friends with. So it's a state, you know, you've got to look at football as a working environment. If he could stay for another year, assess his options, and then leave, it's cool. Obviously, his agent would really deserve his commission if somehow he manages to persuade Arsenal to extend his deal and then send him out with a loan with an obligation to buy, because he's got him a new deal at Arsenal. If anything went wrong, he's got, you know, he's got his future decided at Roma. And for Roma, despite his form and how much the team like him and all these things and the manager, it's a difficult one because he's playing okay, but considering his age, and maybe he'll probably have to take a wage cut, but the wages, it's a techie one. It's a really difficult one because say he gets injured or fails to replicate the form, you're stuck with him, innit, really. You know, Mkhitaryan shouldn't have been a thing for Arsenal, full stop. Should have sold him to Man City, Alexis to Man City when the opportunity arrived, and this wouldn't be a thing. But hindsight's a wonderful teacher, and it is what it is. And, you know, between the two of them, respectively for both clubs, it's probably been the most expensive swap deal I've definitely seen in Premier League history, potentially up there with world football, really. So we'll see what happens in that regards, people. I kind of gone off task, people, so let's take a break from the transfer one, really. It's not even a transfer thing, it's about Emil Smith-Rowe. To go back to Steve Round, because I mentioned Mr. O'Leary's comments. But Mr. Round said, in relation to Arteta's training sessions, the middle bulk of Arteta's training sessions generally is around about the manager's ideas of how we're playing. So that will be our methodology. This is how we play, this is what we do. Then as you get closer to the game, you'll start training towards the opposition. So this is how we'll tweak what we do to exploit the opposition's weaknesses or tweak to negate their strengths. You're not going to change your methodology, the way you approach everything, but what you might do is practice a different way, which is true. Obviously, you want to see a manager have his own blueprint and obviously think about what the opposition is going to do. It's common sense, and that's not necessarily anything new for any manager, but it's nice to hear Arteta doing that. And Round finally went on to say, I had no hesitation in joining Mikel's staff what a magnificent club. And to work with him, I knew this guy is going to need a bit of experience / knowledge from the domestic game. And I thought he's got a real chance to be one of the best managers in the world, let alone in the UK. So it's nice to see that, you know, first and foremost, Arteta surrounded himself with good people around him, because that's what he needs. You know, it doesn't matter how knowledgeable you are, how much charisma around, if you're not able to not only convince players, but convince people around you in your vision. Also, you need them as well, because, you know, why do you think Pep Guardiola always seeks opinions of other people away from football? Because sometimes you can only see things a certain way. But my assistant, we might share the same similarities, but our brains might be different. He might pick up on something I've missed, and the next man might do this, or girl might do the same thing. Then we add these all together and we move forward. Equally, Arteta, I do think Arteta is very hands-on, but modern day management, it's not like it's not Arteta leading every training session every minute. You know, he might say, you know, I want to go and work with Reece Nelson on something one-to-one thing. Can you take the training session? Or he might pull people out, or he might lead the session, but he needs people around him to believe in him, because when he's not there, it needs to still function to a higher standard. And if you think about it, if me and you are on the same management side, and I don't believe in you as a manager deep down, regardless of me being your assistant, your team is going to flop. Because if I think like that, what about the other coaches? What about the players? Do you get it? So he needs people around him. Obviously, if he can surround himself with experience, that's an added bonus. Like we said with Round, he's been with David Moyes. He's been at Manchester United, a big club, if not the biggest club in England. It is the biggest club, but I don't want to say it. Obviously, he's been at another big club in Everton. So that is vulnerable experience. And to be honest, you know, that's an old team that Arteta had. So there's also an affiliation in that regards. Obviously, Arteta's got probably other people around them, but I'm not going to sit here and say I know all the coaching stuff. I think the one I do remember is Pinner, forgive me if I'm wrong, the Brentford guy. His training sessions with the goalies look very innovative, and that's what you want to see, man. Everyone needs to share the similar mindset to Arteta, but they've all got to bring their differences. So it's lovely to see that. Moving away from that though, and finally, Emile Smith-Rowe. Now, I would love to. Do you lot think he should be sold? Do you lot think he should go on loan? Do you lot think he should stay at the club? Because I definitely don't think he should be sold. I do think there's a case to go on loan again, maybe in the Prem or to Germany. I definitely think there's a case to keep him. It's a difficult one, because if we bring in another centre midfielder, I don't know. Will we get rid of the 10 and roll with a flat midfield 3, in which obviously Emile's up against it. He can play on the flanks, but you'd like to probably see him as a 10. And right now, based on the fact that Joe Willock didn't go out on loan, and Joe Willock, under however many managers, has played in that role, maybe the club internally feel that's Joe's in the future, even though I think Joe's is in the pivot. So you've got to think, what has Joe got over you? What has Joe got ahead of Emile Smith-Rowe? And I can't put my hand on it, but there is something. So Arteta might say, you know what, I'm bringing in another centre midfielder. I've got Ozil, I've got Joe. Mkhitaryan's future is up in air. That's about 3-4 man fighting for one position. Emile, go out on loan again. He does believe in him. He started. Was it him who started him against Everton? It might have been Longberg, but either way, he started against Everton. He didn't have the best of games in the first half. Had a stronger second. We've got to be patient, and I think that's one thing about young players. I think the hype goes against them. Not everyone is going to be Kylian Mbappe, you know. And on top of that, just because you're badding up youth football doesn't mean they're going to immediately hit the ground running. At that, you look at Reece Nelson and Callum Hudson-Odoi. I've watched them both run rings around people under 23s. Potentially struggled a bit going into the thing, because they're still learning, they're still young. You shouldn't write them off by any chance of the imagination. We should stick by these young players, in my opinion. They will come good. Not everyone's going to be the starter, not everyone's going to be the star player. Some might have to be squad players, but I do believe Haaland can give us some decent players. I see no reason as to why Emile Smith-Rowe, Reece Nelson, Saka, Martinelli's not from Haaland, but he counts as a young player. Maitland-Niles, different degree. I don't see why even Joe, I don't see why they can't all be members of the Arsenal squad. Now, naturally, some men are going to be first name on the team sheet playing all the time, which I believe is Martinelli and Saka. Some men might be squad players. Potentially, some players just might not make it and be sold. And that's okay. If they can bring us a 20+ million, it is what it is, because the academy itself costs a couple of million to run. Look at Amici. Amici left for 2-3 million plus a sell-on clause. That's a similar fee to how much it costs to keep Haaland open. Literally paying us back, do you get? And obviously, we'd have to see how much money's been put into giving him a kit, you know, obviously paying for him to stay in hotels when we've gone off on tours, and obviously paying coaches to train them through the years to know the true cost of either that or a Wobie or something like that. But do you get it, people? So we'll have to see. Emile himself has said, at Arsenal, I look up to Mesut Ozil a lot. I watched him in training, and the movement he has and the little touches he does, For me to train with him every day, I can't think of anything better. Since Kevin De Bruyne joined Man City, I'd like to base my game around him. I look up to him a lot. I just like the way he plays and everything he does. And I think Kevin De Bruyne is a better one to model your game on than Ozil. Don't get it twisted. You know, breaking the line, seeing a pass before it's happened, movement, these sort of things. Definitely Ozil is a legend to take stuff from. Definitely someone you can learn off. And if you've watched any of my youth reviews, you always hear me, all the young players say Ozil is the one in training, or if not, that's Santi. It's a right guide point. But for me, I think Kevin De Bruyne is who he should be looking at, really, because Kevin's, as he's got older, been playing in that deeper midfield role sort of thing, and I think Emil can do that long term. Obviously, how do I put it? Kevin is the more modern day playmaker, and that's a good guide point for Emil. He should look to be able to dribble like Kevin. He should look, obviously for me, delivery and set pieces. Look how the way Kevin De Bruyne delivers a ball from dead ball situations, and that's important for any creative player. He does that. Obviously, he gets goals and assists, and as a decision maker, I think that's a better. I see why, but I think Kevin is the better example for him in the modern day to look at. Don't get me wrong. Look at Ozil. There's, like I said, there's things he could take, but I think his style of play is more suited to Kevin. Long way off of it ever being like that, but we'll have to see. Emil himself has said, I like to be versatile and I can also play in other positions, but I probably would say I enjoy playing in the 10 position the most. You know, why wouldn't you? He's creative, you can drive, you can pass, you know, you've got a bit of a free role. And I think he's got it, man. I think he's a strong dribbler. I think he's a decent player, decent passer. I think with him, you just want to see him play to slightly bit of a higher standard, a bit more consistency, probably demand the ball a bit more in situations, and just get a bit more experience. But he's only going to get that with games. Obviously, goals and assists are what he's going to die on, really, and anyone in that role. But I don't see any reason as to why he can't have a future at Arsenal. We'll have to see what happens next season, because it's not the end of the day, end of the world if he goes out on loan again. I think that's the thing about football. It's always people gas up these young players, and the minute they're not doing Ballon d'Or stuff or behaving like Jadon Sancho, Kylian Mbappe, they're finished, they're overrated, they're this, that and the other. It is what it is in that regards, man. I back Emil to have a future here, as I'll always back all the players, man. I'm obviously, don't know me, I'm very biased to Highland talent, but on that note, I'm going to get out of here. It's always a pleasure speaking with you guys. Deluded, I'm out.